In this video, I'm going to be drawing from my imagination. I've got a sheet of sketchpad paper prepared with panels and some thumbnails. In the slides, I explain how I got to this point. I also have reference photos readily available. Your job is to make a couple of drawings. In my imagination, I'm actually making the introduction to a movie or a chapter in a video. I'm trying to draw from the perspective of a bird here, a bird of prey, a sparrowhawk. And I'm actually brainstorming while I have the pen in my hand. I'm drawing with pen because it's really permanent and I can't go back and change anything. And the camera picks it up a lot easier. So I'm imagining there's a kind of castle on a cliff and there's an ocean in front of it. And you're looking at the perspective from the point of view of a bird. These rough sketches or thumbnails are really important. I wouldn't have any idea how to get whatever I imagine in my head onto a piece of paper otherwise. It's going to come out wrong. I just have to keep going. And I'm trying to figure out framing for the 16 by 9 panel at the same time. You notice that I draw the horizon line tilted, and that's to suggest that you really are the bird itself. This would be, say, the next panel from what I was drawing a minute ago. You're a little bit closer to a tower and the castle, and I clearly can't figure out what I'm doing yet. It's totally okay that I don't know what I'm doing because I'm sorting it out as I go. I really enjoy this step, actually. I like to try and figure out, now, how do I get what's in my imagination onto a piece of paper? I realize that it looks like a disaster to anybody other than me, but I actually am deciding the way things work as I'm drawing. I have a vague image in my head, and the pen kind of has to figure out how to get it onto a piece of paper. I'm not really pre-visualizing everything. I realize that what I just said probably doesn't make any sense, but the truth is I'm making up both the story and the imagery that goes with the story all at the same time. And I think that maybe makes more sense. I have to add some details so that even I know what I'm drawing, and I will remember exactly where this fits into the scene. I just decided to switch and start drawing onto my sketch paper, and this is a panel at the very bottom of the page, which would actually be the last panel in the sequence or in the story. And I'm imagining that you are the bird landing on the arm of a falconer, because the person in the castle has suddenly turned into someone who is exercising their bird of prey from this tower on this castle. Here I've drawn the hawk at a different angle and it doesn't fit into the panel anymore, and the whole hand was wrong since I looked up falconry. So here's a new version of the last panel. And the middle panel is split now, so this is turning into something that looks like a comic book page, but that's okay. I'm drawing some background here so that there's some perspective so that you can tell that this person at the corner of the tower is up in the air. This story is basically taking on a life of its own now, and I'm just drawing what is readily coming to mind. It really is enjoyable to start with nothing and invent a whole world. I hope that you can find this process both challenging and rewarding. You can probably see that I draw with the pencil about as crazy as I was drawing with the pen, but a little bit more detail. And this is kind of step 2 in the process. And you can kind of see the whole page now is a string of panels that work together. Here I'm literally raising the lines so that they're lighter. I can still see them, the camera can't really pick up what I can see. This allows me to draw right over the top of the drawing that I have and refine it as I go. And so what I'll do is just switch to pencils. I decided to use pencils for this simply because I think it's the easiest way to change your mind and experiment with something else if you choose to. I probably should try the same drawing technique and go back in with the pen that I was using before. It'd be a challenge for me to render something like this just with pen lines. The choice of tools is up to you. Here I'm establishing value with my scribbling technique. I'm paying attention to which way the lines go, but right now I'm just trying to get the value established. It's really interesting to go from drawing one material to another, one texture to another, draw the landscape, and then start drawing birds' feathers. The way I drew this bird is not any of the poses that I have a reference photo from, so I'm kind of improvising and putting details in where they look like they belong. I'm really just trying to make the drawing convincing. It doesn't have to be accurate, it just needs to work. So I'm enjoying the process of taking something that was really in my head and making it look like it's believable. Of course, I couldn't do this without reference photos. It's not cheating to look at pictures of birds and castles or whatever it is you need. The details just need to add up to something that makes sense to the viewer. They're not going to see your reference photos. I'm not going to get all 3 panels drawn in the time frame that I have to make this video, and making that decision allows me to concentrate a little bit more on the bottom panel, which I am going to finish completely. I'm going to let the video run at real time so that you can see how fast I draw again, and this will give me a chance to explain why we're doing this in the first place. The first reason is that it's just really important to be able to imagine something and then draw what you imagine. That's something that an artist does. The other reason, though, is many of our students in fine arts are really interested in game design or concept art, and this is simply a way to approach what I think students are just sincerely interested in learning more about. It's very strange watching myself draw, and I think that what's important about this is I'm just putting some spots of value on a piece of paper and it's turning into something that looks like something. That sounds really ridiculous, but it's just a little bit of patience. You have to have enough confidence to stick to it. Here I'm adding some darker value in, and you can probably see me flip the pencil back and forth between the sharp edge to draw lines and the flat edge, the chisel edge, to add value. Here I'm imagining the viewer's eye traveling across the page. From the top of the paper, the bird's eye view of the castle and the cliff and the ocean, and then kind of zigzagging down the page using the diagonals in the composition to lead the eye. Here's a closer view of the tower and the falconer, who's making eye contact with the bird that's actually in the last panel. And here the sparrowhawk is landing on the falconer's glove. In the distance, some more cliffs and background. I think all 3 panels make sense together. I hope this has given you confidence to really try something completely new that you might not have ever done before. I've really enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy the process of drawing from your own imagination.